It really sucks that I'm doing this video, I just felt that despite all of the content that I put on this YouTube channel, that it's still room for me to shed some light and some awareness on what's currently going on during our social climate, especially within America, especially when it pertains to the inequality and the racial biases that are carried towards people of color, black people, and how white privilege gives you the better end of the stick. I've seen recently, all throughout social media, when it's any topic of conversation regarding the Black Lives Matter movement, how people try to divert conversations and they bring up the whole idea of all lives matter, which all lives should matter, but all lives can't matter if black lives don't matter. You have the current incidents with the Alton Sterling case and the Philando Castile murder, and you have previous cases where it's people of color who are targeted by police, people who are supposed to protect and serve the communities, but there's no ramifications for them. This topic's pretty tough to talk about, but it's not tough because it's a reality. It's a blatant reality of what's going on now. This whole police brutality thing, where it's police who are targeting people of color and they're not getting any legal repercussions from their actions, is portraying the message that black lives aren't as valid as other lives, as our white counterparts, and not even black lives, any other person of color. It's this so-called blue wall that protects these so-called civil servants of justice. Officers aren't even indicted, yet alone convicted of these cases. It just sucks. It just really sucks. Stephen Lerner, who was walking around with a shotgun and actually argued with police. The video is of him having a verbal dispute with police officers about his right to walk around with a loaded shotgun. He just walks off free with his life. It's the unequal treatment and these injustices that really makes it suck being a person of color throughout the world, the racial profiling, the targeting of us is it just blurs. The thing about it is that people will go on social media and they would divert the conversation that Black Lives Matter to All Lives Matter, which virtually discredits and minimizes the fact that black lives are being targeted by police in America. That's the movement. No one is saying that black lives matter more than all other lives. It's just that black lives are getting targeted by these servants and they're not facing any repercussions for their actions. You know where all of this really stems from? It stems from Eurocentric imperialism and what a lot of white people today need to understand is that they are beneficiaries of a Eurocentric imperialistic tradition where they have privileges awarded to them that inherently they take ownership of but don't realize it, and so they don't know how it is to be treated like a person of color is treated. But to white people, you have to understand that this stems from years and years and years and years of oppression. Your ancestors that virtually came over, colonized all sorts of lands, and in that colonization process, they killed, pillaged, raped, and tortured. I'm all over the place with this conversation because social media, oh my gosh, it just sucks. I hate seeing, people bring up this statistic. There are more white people who have been killed by police than black people. What you fail to realize is that people of color are a minority in those countries, especially America. More than 60% of the population is white in America. Use this as an example. If police officers in 1 month killed 15 black people and 15 white people, and the total before those killings of black people was 30, but the total amount of white people before those killings were 500. So just by killing 15 black people from that total, you've now chopped that population, that black population, in half. If you killed the 15 white people, that means there are 485 white people left. That's not nowhere near half of that total population that's been killed off. And that's the argument for people to comment that the Black Lives Matter movement is a very divisive group. Protests were never made to make change. They build off of the principle that you need something eye-catching to actually start the wheels of change. The Black Lives Matter movement is trying to shed light that there's inequality. And just because you are pro-black, I'm sure a lot of people have seen this on social media, it doesn't mean that we are anti-white. You know that case, that rape case that pisses me off, that Brock Turner rape case? And his dad has the nerve, oh, my son hasn't even been eaten. Fuck off, you muppet. The guy who was at Vanderbilt University, Corey Beatty, who got charged for the same thing. He raped an unconscious girl. He was black and he was sentenced to 15 years. Brock Turner, sentenced to 6 months. On minimum, he may only have to serve 3. If that doesn't show you the unequal treatment of blacks compared to whites, I don't know what to say to you. This conversation can go on and on and on. I could talk about this for ages. The gentrification of black people into impoverished neighborhoods where they don't have resources. How Republicans they object to affirmative action in the United States, but the justice system just continuously cuts us up. If white people could understand their white privilege and how effective they can be if they stood in solidarity with people of color, the minority. They can get so much done, because it even sucks that I have to change the way I walk through this world to feel some degree of safety. I can't even walk behind a white girl without feeling awkward, because I'm so tall and I'm black, and she keeps looking behind her to see if I'm gonna do something. It happens pretty frequent to me. It just sucks that I have to shape the way that I move throughout society. And if white people knew how that felt, I think we'll find some progression.